The park was quiet in that gentle late afternoon way, sunlight spilling through the trees, birds settling into their nests, and the distant laughter of children fading as the day slowed down. Lila walked beside her dog, Milo, letting the leash stay loose between them. It was their usual route. Same gravel path. Same wooden bench near the pond. Same calm routine that helped her breathe a little easier after school. She was thinking about nothing in particular when Milo stopped. Not a playful stop. Not a curious sniff. He planted his paws and leaned backward, refusing to move. His ears lifted, his body stiffening like a wire pulled too tight. Then he whined, soft at first, then sharper, pulling her toward the bench they always passed without sitting on. "Milo!" Lila whispered, glancing around. Nothing looked different. The pond still shimmered. The bench still sat empty. The world felt normal. But Milo's tail was low. His chest trembled. He barked once, short and urgent, then tugged again, dragging her closer to the bench. Her heart began to beat faster, though she couldn't explain why. A strange warmth spread through her chest, mixed with an ache she didn't recognize. "Why are you doing this?" she asked softly, kneeling beside him. Milo didn't look at her. He looked at the bench. Only when Lila stepped closer did she notice the faint carving on the wood, worn smooth by time. Letters. A name. A message she had never seen before. And the moment she read it, her breath caught in her throat. But what the dog sensed was far from ordinary. Before we continue, remember to like, share and subscribe for more heart-touching dog stories. And tell me, where are you watching from? The park was quiet in the way it always became near sunset. Not empty, just softened. Light slid between the trees in long honey-colored ribbons. Leaves whispered to each other. Somewhere near the pond, a duck splashed once, then went still. Lila walked beside Milo with the leash loose in her hand. She liked it that way. Loose meant calm. Loose meant nothing was wrong. Her sneakers crunched gently on the gravel path. Milo's paws made a softer sound beside her. Steady, patient, unhurried. They walked this path every day after school. Same entrance. Same curve by the tall oak. Same bench near the water. Routine helped her think. Or helped her not think. She breathed in the cool smell of grass and damp soil. The day still clung to the air, warm but fading. "Good walk today," she said quietly. Milo's ears tipped back for a moment. He knew that tone. It meant she was talking to herself. And to him at the same time. His tail swayed once. Not excited. Just present. They passed a jogger. A man tossing a stick for his retriever. A couple sitting close on the far bench, whispering into each other's hair. Lila kept her eyes on the path. The world felt safe here. Predictable. That mattered to her more than she could explain. 13. Everything else felt too loud. School. Phones buzzing. Teachers asking questions she didn't want to answer. The park didn't ask. Just existed. Milo walked slightly ahead of her, nose low, reading invisible messages in the ground. His ears moved with the sounds, bird wings, distant traffic, a bicycle bell far away. They approached the wooden bench near the pond. The one they always passed. The one Lila never sat on. It faced the water, angled just enough to catch the breeze. Milo slowed. Just a little. Lila didn't notice at first. She was watching the light ripple on the pond. Then the leash went still. She took another step. The leash tightened. "Milo," she murmured. He had stopped. Not the way dogs stop to sniff. Not curious. Planted. His front paws were spread slightly apart. His weight leaned backward, as if something ahead of him mattered. His ears lifted. Forward. Alert. His tail dropped low. Not tucked. Just lowered. A quiet signal. Lila looked around. The path was clear. No bike. No runner. No sudden sound. "Milo, come on," she said gently. She gave the leash a light tug. He didn't move. Instead, a small sound slipped from his chest. A soft, uneasy whine. Surprised her. He never whined. Her stomach tightened. "What is it?" she asked. Her voice sounded louder than she meant it to. Milo's head turned slightly, not toward her. Toward the bench. The wooden slats glowed in the late sun. The metal legs were cool and gray. Nothing strange. Just a bench. "Milo," she tried again. Another tug. This time he stepped forward, but not toward the path. Toward the bench. The leash angled sideways in her hand. He pulled once. Not hard. Not frantic. Intent. Lila's heart gave a small, confused beat. Hey, it's okay, she said, though she wasn't sure why. Milo's chest moved faster. In. Out. In. Out. His ears twitched at every sound. A bird lifted from the water. He flinched. Lila knelt beside him. What's wrong with you? She whispered. Her fingers brushed his fur. Warm. Familiar. Safe. But his body was tense under her hand. Like a held breath. She followed his gaze. The bench sat in the sunlight empty. No bag. No person. No movement. Do you hear something? She asked. Milo didn't answer. He just stared. Then he barked. Once. Sharp. Short. The sound cracked through the quiet. Lila's heart jumped. Milo, she hissed, glancing around. A man walking his dog farther down the path turned his head. Lila stood quickly, embarrassed. Sorry, she called softly. Milo barked again. Not loud. Urgent. And pulled. Harder this time. The leash slid through her fingers as he dragged her a step closer to the bench. Milo, stop, she said. Her voice shook. She didn't know why. Nothing was happening. And yet, her chest felt warm. Heavy. Like a memory pressing from the inside. She walked closer. Slowly. Each step felt strange. As if the air thickened around the bench. Milo reached it first. He circled once. Sniffed the ground beneath it. Sniffed the leg. Then sat. Directly in front of it. Blocking her path forward. She stared down at him. What are you doing? She whispered. He looked up at her. His eyes were dark and steady. Then he looked back at the wood. Lila stepped closer. The bench smelled like old rain and sun. Like trees. Like time. She noticed something then. Lines. Shallow. Scratched into the top slat of wood. Not graffiti. Not random. Letters. Her breath slowed. She leaned in. The carving was faint. Worn smooth by weather and hands. But still there. Still readable. Her fingers hovered just above it. Milo, she murmured. He whined softly again. She read the words. Slowly. Out loud. For my brave girl, who always came here when she needed to be strong. Her throat tightened. There was a name under it. One she hadn't seen in years. One she didn't expect to find on a bench in a park. Her chest stung. A feeling rushed up from somewhere deep. Like cold water. Like sunlight. Like something waking up. Her knees bent without her meaning them to. She sat. Right there. Milo pressed against her leg. His warmth anchored her. The park kept breathing around them. Birds. Water. Wind. But inside Lila's chest, everything shifted. But what the dog sensed was far from ordinary. Lila stayed on the bench longer than she meant to. The wood felt cool through her jeans. The pond reflected the sky in soft, broken pieces. Milo sat close, his shoulder touching her knee. He didn't move. Not to chase a bird. Not to sniff the path. Not even when a bicycle passed behind them. He stayed still. Watching her. The engraving sat between them like a quiet voice. She traced the letters with her eyes again. For my brave girl, who always came here when she needed to be strong. The name below it blurred. She blinked. Then swallowed. Her fingers curled around the leash. This is stupid, she whispered to herself. It was just wood. Just words. Lots of benches had carvings. People wrote things everywhere. Yet her heart wouldn't settle. Beat too slow, then too fast. Milo's ears shifted. He lifted his head slightly. Not toward the path. Toward her. His nose brushed her hand. A soft nudge. You okay? She forced a small smile. I'm fine, she said. The word felt thin. A breeze moved across the pond. The leaves rustled. Somewhere a child laughed. Life kept going. She stood up. We should go, she said. Milo didn't move. He remained seated, eyes flicking once to the bench, then back to her. Milo, she tried again. She tugged gently on the leash. He rose slowly, but didn't turn toward the path. Instead, he leaned closer to the bench. Sniffed again. Longer this time. As if the wood carried a scent no one else could detect. "What do you smell?" she asked. Her voice sounded small. Milo's tail made one low sweep. Not happy. Not scared. Focused. She stepped back. "Come on," she said, firmer now. He followed reluctantly. They walked a few steps down the path. Then he stopped again. His body angled backward. His paws dug lightly into the gravel. "Milo!" She turned. He was looking at the bench again. Not the pond. Not the trees. The bench. A slow chill ran through her. "You're being weird," she murmured. She crouched and rubbed behind his ears. His fur was warm from walking. His skin felt steady. Alive. "You're probably tired," she said. She tried to sound sure. They started forward again. This time he came. But his head kept turning. His ears kept flicking back. Checking. Watching. The park felt different now. Not scary. Just aware. As if something waited quietly in the space between moments. They reached the curve in the path. Lila glanced over her shoulder. The bench sat alone. Sunlight fading. Ordinary. She exhaled. "See," she said to Milo. "Nothing." But he didn't look convinced. His pace stayed slow. At home she filled his water bowl. He drank. Then walked to the window. Saturday. Watched the street. Usually he would curl up near her bed by now. Instead he stayed alert. She dropped her backpack. Shoes kicked off. She flopped onto her bed and stared at the ceiling. The engraving replayed in her mind. Brave girl. Her chest felt tight again. She hadn't been brave. Not lately. She turned onto her side. "Milo," she called softly. He came to her. Laid his head on the mattress. She scratched his chin. "Why that bench?" she asked him. He didn't answer. But his tail thumped once. Slow. That night she dreamed of the park. The pond was still. The bench glowed. Someone sat there, but she couldn't see their face. Only their shadow. In the morning the feeling stayed with her. Like a song she couldn't quite hear. She walked Milo again after school. Same path. Same light. Same sounds. When they neared the bench her steps slowed. Her stomach fluttered. Milo's ears lifted before they reached it. His body angled toward it. His pace quickened. Okay, she whispered. "I see it." He reached the bench and sniffed again. Longer. Then circled. Then sat. Exactly as before. "Are you going to do this every day now?" she asked. Her voice was half joking. Half not. She sat beside him. This time she touched the wood. It was warm from the sun. Rough where the carving cut into it. She read the words again. Slower. The name still pressed against her chest. "I didn't know this was here," she whispered. Milo leaned into her leg. The park didn't feel empty anymore. Felt listening. She noticed details she hadn't before. The way the bench was placed slightly off-center. The way the grass around it was worn. As if many feet had stopped there over time. She imagined someone sitting here. Waiting. Thinking. Being strong. Her eyes stung. "Did you bring me here?" she asked Milo. His ears twitched. He looked up at her. Then back at the bench. Her heart answered before her mind did. She stayed longer that day. The sun slid lower. The pond darkened. Milo didn't rush her. He didn't bark. He just stayed close. As if guarding something. Or remembering something. On the way home she felt lighter. And heavier. Both at once. Something had started. She didn't know what yet. Only that Milo knew. And that tomorrow. He would probably stop again. The same place. With the same quiet insistence. And she would follow. By the third day Lila decided Milo was just being stubborn. That explanation felt safer. Dogs got attached to places sometimes. Trees. Corners. Benches. Maybe the bench smelled like another dog. Maybe someone dropped food there once. Maybe it was nothing. She told herself this while tying his leash. "Today we're not stopping," she said. Her voice tried to sound firm. Milo tilted his head. Not in a playful way. In a listening way. The afternoon was cooler. Clouds softened the sky. The park looked the same but Lila didn't. Her shoulders were tight. Her jaw stayed clenched. She didn't want to think about the words on the bench again. She didn't want to think about the name. So when they reached the path's curve, she sped up. Milo slowed. The leash drew tight between them. Come on, she muttered. He planted his paws. Again. His ears rose. His tail lowered. His body leaned back. Not afraid. Alert. We're not doing this today, she said. She tugged once. He took a step then stopped again. A quiet whine escaped him. Short. Controlled. Like he was trying not to make noise. Stop, she whispered sharply. A woman walking her terrier glanced over. Lila felt heat rise to her face. Move, she urged him. Milo didn't bark. He didn't sit. He stood there, muscles tight, gaze fixed forward. At the bench. She followed his stare. Sunlight filtered through thin clouds. The bench sat exactly where it always did. Waiting. You're fine, she said. To him. To herself. She bent and grabbed his collar. Gently. She pulled him around. His paws scraped the gravel. Not resisting violently. Just refusing. A strange fear flickered through her chest. Not sharp. Dull. Like the beginning of a headache. Please, she murmured. He looked up at her. His eyes were wide. Not panicked. Concerned. That made her stomach twist. Nothing's wrong, she said. Louder now. As if volume could make it true. She walked forward. Milo followed, but reluctantly. His head kept turning. His ears flicked back. They passed the bench. Lila didn't look at it. She kept her eyes on the path. On a bird hopping through grass. On the far fence. Anywhere else. Her chest felt tight. She didn't like the silence between them. At home Milo paced. Not fast. Not frantic. Just restless. He walked from room to room. Stopped near the door. Saturday. Stood. Sat again. What is with you? She asked. He looked at her. Then at the door. You want to go back? She asked. He wagged his tail once. Low. Hopeful. No, she said. She dropped her backpack. She went to the kitchen. When she returned, he was still sitting by the door. Like he was waiting for permission. She sighed. You're being dramatic, she said. The words sounded meaner than she meant. Milo didn't move. That night she couldn't sleep. The bench appeared in her thoughts again. The carving. The name. Her chest felt heavy. She rolled onto her side. Milo lay beside the bed. His ears stayed half lifted. Listening. In the morning rain streaked the windows. The park would be muddy. Good. An excuse not to linger. They walked anyway. Umbrella tilted over her shoulder. Raindrops darkened Milo's fur. He didn't care. As they neared the bench he slowed. Lila tightened her grip on the leash. Don't, she warned. His ears lifted. His nose twitched. He whined softly. No. She pulled him past. This time he resisted more. Not barking. Not jumping. Just stopping. Her arm tensed. Come on, she said. Her voice shook. A man jogged by. Splashed water onto the path. Milo flinched. But he didn't move. Lila's breath came faster. Why are you doing this? She whispered. She knelt in front of him. Rain dotted his nose. Are you scared? His ears flicked back. He looked past her. Toward the bench. She turned. The bench looked darker in the rain. Lonelier. A leaf stuck to one leg. That's nothing, she said. Her throat burned. She stood up and pulled harder. He stumbled. Caught himself. Followed. Her chest hurt. Not physically. Emotionally. Like she was doing something wrong but didn't know why. They went home early. She dried him off. He leaned into the towel. Trusted her. That made it worse. That afternoon her phone buzzed. A message from her mom. I'll be late. Pizza tonight? Lila typed back yes. She lay on her bed and stared at the ceiling. The engraving replayed. For my brave girl. She squeezed her eyes shut. Stop, she whispered. She thought about the bench. She thought about Milo's eyes. How steady they were. Not playful. Not random. Intent. What if he's trying to tell me something? She murmured. The idea made her chest tighten. She shook her head. Dogs don't know about that stuff. But she wasn't sure what that stuff even meant. When evening came, the rain stopped. The air smelled clean. She clipped Milo's leash on again. They walked. Quiet. When they reached the curve, Milo slowed. Lila slowed too. Not on purpose. Her feet just did. Okay, she whispered. Just for a second. He looked up at her. Then forward. They walked toward the bench. He didn't pull this time. He didn't bark. He simply walked with purpose. They stopped in front of it. Milo sat. As always. She stood there, heart beating slowly now. The rain had washed the wood darker. The carving stood out more. She stared at it, not ready to read it again. What are you trying to show me? She asked him. He nudged her leg. Soft. Gentle. Like an answer without words. She sat down. Just for a moment. She didn't cry. She didn't touch the letters. She just breathed. Milo rested his head on her knee. Her hand fell onto his fur. Warm. Steady. And for the first time, she wondered if she had been wrong to pull him away. If his stopping wasn't stubbornness at all, but a warning. One she had been trying not to hear. The next afternoon the sky was clear again. Blue. Wide. Calm. Lila wished her chest felt the same. She clipped Milo's leash on slowly. He sat still, watching her hands. You ready? She asked. His tail gave a small sweep. Not excited. Prepared. They walked to the park in silence. The air smelled like warm grass and pavement. A lawnmower buzzed somewhere beyond the trees. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Her heart beat faster as they reached the familiar curve. Milo slowed. She slowed with him this time. Not because she planned to. Because her feet didn't want to move. Okay, she whispered. We'll pass it. Just calmly. They stepped forward. Milo stopped. Completely. Not halfway. Not hesitating. Stopped. His front paws braced against the gravel. His back legs spread slightly apart. Quiet, solid stance. Milo, she murmured. He didn't look at her. He looked straight ahead. At the bench. His ears stood tall. His chest rose and fell faster than usual. Milo, come on. She tugged the leash. Nothing. She tugged again. His muscles tightened. Not pulling away. Holding ground. Why are you doing this? She whispered. Her voice sounded small in the open space. A breeze lifted the leaves. The pond made a soft, hollow sound against its edge. Milo's tail lowered. He let out a low whine. Not loud. Not desperate. Insistent. People passed behind them. Shoes on gravel. Laughter. A dog barking in the distance. Lila felt heat rise in her face. She crouched beside him. You're embarrassing me, she said softly. She didn't mean it. Just came out. His ears twitched. He glanced at her. Then back at the bench. As if checking and rechecking. She followed his gaze. The bench sat under the tree, half in shade, half in sun. Still. Waiting. She stood and tried again. This time Milo stepped forward one step, then stopped again. He shifted sideways, positioning himself between her and the path ahead. Blocking. Protecting. Milo, she said. Her throat tightened. She felt it then. A small sharp fear. Not of the bench. Of what it meant. Move, she said. He didn't. She pulled harder. He stumbled forward. Then planted himself again. His breathing was louder now. She could hear it. In. Out. In. Out. A jogger passed and slowed. Everything okay? The woman asked. Lila nodded too quickly. Yeah. He's just tired. The jogger smiled and kept going. Milo didn't relax. His body stayed angled toward the bench. His eyes didn't leave it. Lila knelt again. She put her hands on his shoulders. You don't have to do this, she whispered. He leaned forward. Not away. Forward. Toward the bench. A short bark escaped him. Sharp. Urgent. She flinched. Stop, she whispered. Her heart pounded. She felt like the moment was slipping out of control. Milo, please. Her voice broke. She stood and turned her body, trying to guide him away. He resisted. Not violently. Not wildly. Just refused. The leash stretched tight between them. She could feel his strength. Not angry. Determined. Her arm shook. Why won't you listen to me? She asked. Her eyes stung. She didn't know why she felt like crying. Nothing bad was happening. Except it felt like something was. She followed his gaze again. The bench. The words. She could almost see them without looking. For my brave girl. Her chest ached. Fine, she whispered. She loosened the leash. Milo didn't move at first. He waited, as if asking permission. She nodded. He walked to the bench. Slow. Measured. He sniffed the ground. Then the leg. Then the seat. He circled once. Saturday. Exactly as before. She stood behind him. Heart pounding. The park seemed quieter. Not silent. Just distant. She sat beside him. The wood was warm. Her hands rested on her thighs. Milo pressed his side into her leg. Steady. She stared at the carving. Didn't read it. Not yet. Her mind filled in the words anyway. Why this place? She whispered. Milo didn't look at her. He kept his eyes on the bench. As if it were a door. As if it were something that could open. A memory surfaced. Small. Faint. A girl sitting here with someone taller. Someone laughing softly. Someone saying, "You're stronger than you think." Lila swallowed. Her fingers curled into the edge of the bench. The breeze brushed her hair across her face. She didn't move it away. "I don't want to think about it," she whispered. Milo's head turned. He looked at her. Then he licked her hand. Once. Slow. Gentle. Her breath caught. She stayed there longer than she planned. Time moved differently when she sat here. Slower. Thicker. The sun lowered. The shadows stretched. Eventually she stood. "Okay," she said. "We can go now." Milo stood too. This time he followed without resistance. They walked home quietly. Her thoughts felt heavy. And loose. Like they didn't know where to land. At home Milo drank water and lay down near her door. Not at his usual spot. Closer. As if guarding her. That night she dreamed of the bench again. This time the words glowed. She woke with her heart racing. Morning came. School felt louder than usual. She watched the clock. When afternoon finally arrived, she clipped Milo's leash on again. She didn't say anything this time. They walked. The park greeted them the same way. Birds. Wind. Water. As they reached the curve, Milo stopped. She stopped too. No tug. No pull. Just stillness. He didn't bark. He didn't whine. He simply refused to move forward. His body blocked the path. Solid. Certain. She looked at him. Then at the bench. Her chest tightened. "All right," she whispered. "I get it." They walked to the bench together. This time she wasn't fighting him. She sat. He sat. The world kept moving. But something inside her had shifted. Milo wasn't being stubborn. He wasn't being strange. He was holding his ground. For her. And whatever waited in the words carved into the wood. He wasn't going to let her walk past it again. The bench looked different in the late light. Not because it had changed. Because Lila had. She sat down slowly, as if the wood might feel something when she touched it. Milo settled beside her without being told. Close enough that his shoulder pressed into her leg. Quiet promise. The park breathed around them. Water lapped softly against the pond's edge. Leaves shifted above them. Somewhere a distant car door closed. Normal sounds. Ordinary sounds. But the space between her and the bench felt charged. She leaned forward. The carving caught the sun just right. The shallow grooves glowed slightly, as if the letters wanted to be seen. Her throat tightened. She hadn't really read it. Not fully. Not with her heart open. She read it now. Slowly. For my brave girl who always came here when she needed to be strong. She swallowed. Her fingers hovered above the words. Then touched them. The wood was rough beneath her skin. The name below it was carved deeper. More deliberate. She traced it with one finger. "Emma," she whispered. Milo's ears twitched. Emma. The name echoed inside her chest. She hadn't spoken it out loud in years. Not like this. Not here. The park shifted around her. The smell of water faded. The breeze softened. And suddenly, she was 8 years old again. Sitting on this same bench. Her legs didn't touch the ground back then. They had swung in the air while she kicked at nothing. Her mom had been in the hospital that day. She remembered the sky being too bright. Her dad had brought her here with a paper bag of fries. Sometimes, he'd said, Being brave just means sitting still. She remembered how he'd pointed at the pond. See that duck? He'd asked. She doesn't look worried. But she's always paying attention. She hadn't understood then. Not really. But she'd nodded. Because he said things like that when he didn't know what else to say. Her chest tightened. Emma. Her older sister. The one who used to walk her to this park. The one who'd called this bench their thinking spot. The one who had stopped coming. Her fingers pressed harder into the wood. I forgot, Lila whispered. The words surprised her. She hadn't meant to say them. Milo shifted closer. His fur brushed her arm. She remembered the last time Emma had sat here. They'd argued. About something small. Something stupid. About borrowing a hoodie. About who got the last slice of pizza. Emma had walked ahead. Sat on the bench. Lila had stayed behind. Arms crossed. Pouting. I'll be here when you're done being mad, Emma had said. But Lila never came. Their mom had called them home. Dinner. Homework. Life. A week later Emma was gone. A car accident. A rainy night. A phone call that split the house in half. They never came back to the bench. Not together. Not at all. Lila's breath hitched. Her chest burned. She stared at the name. The carving looked older than she remembered. Worn by time. By weather. By hands. Did you make this? She whispered to the empty air. Milo lifted his head. His eyes watched her face. Not the bench. Her. I didn't know it was here, she said. Her voice trembled. I didn't know you left something. She imagined Emma carving it. Slowly. Carefully. Probably laughing about how bad her letters were. Probably saying, now you can't forget me. Her lips pressed together. A tear slid down her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. The park stayed quiet. Respectful. Milo nudged her knee. Soft. She leaned into him. Her forehead touched his head. I thought I was over it, she whispered. But I think I just walked past it. Milo's tail gave one slow sweep. She read the words again. This time they didn't feel heavy. They felt warm. Like a hand on her shoulder. Brave girl, she murmured. She hadn't felt brave since Emma died. She had felt small. Quiet. Careful. She'd avoided places. Avoided memories. Avoided benches. The truth settled in slowly. Like dust in sunlight. Milo hadn't stopped because the bench was strange. He had stopped because it mattered. He had smelled something. Old perfume. Old wood. Old feelings. He had sensed what she couldn't. Her chest loosened. Just a little. She leaned back and closed her eyes. The pond made its gentle sound. A bird landed nearby. Milo stayed pressed against her. Guarding. Waiting. I think this is where she used to sit, she said softly. Milo's ears flicked. As if listening. I think she made this for me. She laughed quietly. It sounded shaky. She always thought I needed reminders. Milo huffed once. A small breath through his nose. She opened her eyes and looked at the bench again. The words no longer looked carved. They looked placed. Left behind. Like a message in a bottle. Her fingers traced the letters one last time. Thank you, she whispered. To the bench. To the memory. To the dog beside her. The air felt lighter. Not empty. But lighter. As if something heavy had finally been set down. She stayed there for a long time. The sun lowered. The pond darkened. The park filled with evening sounds. She didn't rush. For the first time. She didn't feel like she had to leave. When she finally stood, Milo stood too. He didn't pull. He didn't block. He waited. She looked at him. Okay, she said. I see it now. They walked home together. The bench stayed behind. But it didn't feel far away anymore. Felt part of her again. And Milo walked a little taller. As if he had done what he came to do. As if he had brought her to the words. So they could finally speak. Lila didn't go straight home. Not after what she had seen. She walked more slowly than usual, letting the path stretch out in front of her. Milo stayed close. Not pulling. Not leading. Just matching her pace. The air felt different now. Cooler. Lighter. As if something had shifted in the sky. She reached the small bridge near the pond and stopped. The water moved beneath it, dark and smooth. She leaned against the rail and looked down. I didn't know I was still carrying it, she said softly. Milo's ears tilted toward her voice. I thought if I didn't talk about her, if I didn't go near that bench, it meant I was okay. Her breath came out shaky, but I think it just meant I was hiding. Milo sat, his body angled toward her, attentive, present. The smell of water and wet leaves filled her nose. A breeze brushed her hair back from her face. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. I got mad at her, she whispered. For something stupid. Her voice cracked. I never said sorry. Milo stood and pressed his chest against her leg. Not hard. Just enough to be felt. She bent down and wrapped her arms around his neck. His fur was warm. Solid. Real. I didn't know she carved that for me, she said. She knew I'd need it later, didn't she? Milo's tail thumped once. Slow. Steady. Her shoulders shook. She let it happen. Didn't rush it. Didn't swallow it back. The sound of her breathing mixed with the water and the leaves. No one stared. No one rushed her. The park held the moment. When the tightness in her chest finally loosened, she stood again. Let's go back, she said. Milo looked up, then turned toward the bench. He didn't pull. He just walked there. She followed. The bench waited. Same as before. But it didn't feel heavy now. It felt open. She sat again. This time she rested her back against the wood. Milo lay at her feet. She watched the surface of the pond catch the light. I wish you were here, she whispered. Not to Milo. To the air. To the space beside her. I think you'd like him. Milo lifted his head. She smiled through her tears. You'd say he's too serious. Her breath came easier now. I didn't come here because it hurt, she said. But maybe it hurt because I didn't come. She closed her eyes. For a moment, she imagined Emma sitting next to her. Not as a ghost. Not as a memory. Just as herself. Legs swinging. Smile crooked. You don't have to be sad to remember me, she could almost hear her say. The thought didn't sting. It warmed. Milo shifted closer. His paw brushed her shoe. She looked down at him. You didn't let me keep running, she said. You stopped me. He looked up at her. Then away. Like it wasn't a big deal. Like it was just what dogs did. The sun moved lower. The shadows stretched long across the grass. She felt tired. Not in her body. In her heart. But it wasn't the heavy kind of tired. It was the kind that came after crying. After telling the truth. She stood. Okay, she said. Now we can go. Milo stood too. They walked home. The streetlights flickered on. Cars passed slowly. The smell of dinner drifted from open windows. When she reached her house, the porch light glowed warm and yellow. Inside, her mom was in the kitchen. Hey, her mom said. You're late. Sorry, Lila replied. Her voice sounded different. Calmer. Her mom glanced at her face. Paused. Are you okay? Lila hesitated. Then nodded. I think yeah. Her mom smiled softly. That's good. Lila washed her hands and sat at the table. The house felt quieter than usual. Not empty. Just still. After dinner she went to her room. Milo followed and lay near her bed. She picked up her phone. Scrolled through old photos. There was one of Emma and her at the park. Not the bench. Just the grass. Emma had her arm around Lila's shoulders. Lila's face was serious. Emma's was bright. She saved the photo to her home screen. Set it there. Not hidden. When she lay down, Milo stayed near her. His breathing was slow. Even. She stared at the ceiling. Not thinking. Just being. The next afternoon she walked Milo again. Not because she felt like she had to. Because she wanted to. They reached the bench. Milo slowed. She smiled. Yeah, she said. I know. They sat. She didn't cry this time. She just sat. She told Milo about school. About a test she hated. About a friend who annoyed her. About the way the clouds looked that day. Milo listened. She touched the carving again. Not like it was fragile. Like it was familiar. Thank you, she whispered. For the first time the words weren't heavy. They were calm. She stood. Milo stood. They walked on. The bench stayed behind them. But the ache didn't come with it. Something had been rescued. Not from danger. from silence, from being buried, from being avoided. Milo had not saved her from something outside. He had led her to something inside. And once she saw it, she didn't need to run anymore. The bench became part of their walk. Not the center of it. Not the end. Just a pause. Some days Lila sat for a long time. Some days only a minute. Milo never rushed her. He never pulled her away. He only slowed when they got close. A gentle reminder. The park changed with the week. Clouds thickened. Leaves drifted down in soft spirals. The pond darkened earlier each evening. But the bench stayed the same. Waiting. Lila noticed new things about it now. The shallow dip in the wood where someone must have sat often. The faint marks of old sneakers in the dirt below. The way the sun reached it first before touching the path. Milo always sat on her left side. Always. As if that spot mattered. She talked more. Not out loud to people. Out loud to him. Math was awful today, she said once, sitting down heavily. Milo flicked an ear. They gave us a pop quiz, she added. He sighed through his nose. She smiled. Another day she said nothing at all. Just sat. Listened to the wind. Milo leaned against her leg. His warmth soaked through her jeans. Solid. Steady. Healing didn't feel like fireworks. It felt like breathing again. Slow. Quiet. Natural. One afternoon her mom walked with them. Just once. Where do you always stop? Her mom asked. Lila hesitated. Then pointed. There. They walked to the bench. Her mom read the carving. Didn't say anything at first. Then she sat beside Lila. I didn't know this was here, her mom said softly. I didn't either, Lila replied. They stayed a few minutes. Milo lay between them. A bridge of fur and warmth. After that, her mom didn't ask questions. She just nodded when Lila said she was going to the park. Trust replaced worry. Lila felt different at school too. Not louder. Not braver. Just less tight inside. When someone mentioned sisters, her chest still pinched. But it didn't collapse. She could think of Emma without turning away. Without changing the subject. She noticed Milo watching her more. Not constantly. But when she sat too long without moving. When her breathing got shallow. He would nudge her knee. Not urgent. Gentle. Like a tap on the shoulder. Hey, you're still here. One evening the park was nearly empty. The sky was pale gold. She sat and looked at the words again. They didn't feel like a message from the past anymore. They felt like something meant for now. For my brave girl. She wasn't brave in the big ways. Not saving lives. Not climbing mountains. But she was sitting. Remembering. Letting herself feel. Maybe that counted. Milo rested his head on her shoe. His eyes half closed. Trusting the moment. She reached down and scratched his neck. You don't even know her, she said. But you brought me back to her. Milo's tail tapped the ground once. The breeze carried the smell of water and fallen leaves. A distant train horn echoed faintly. Life kept moving. She didn't feel stuck in the past anymore. She felt connected to it. Like a thread she could hold without being pulled under. When they walked home the path felt shorter. Not because it changed. Because she wasn't dragging her feet. At night Milo slept closer to her bed. Not guarding. Just nearby. Sometimes she dreamed of the bench. But not glowing. Not empty. Just there. Waiting. One afternoon she brought a small cloth. Wiped dust from the wood. Not scrubbing. Just caring. Milo watched. His ears lifted at every sound. You're very serious about this place, she told him. He blinked. She laughed quietly. Me too. The healing wasn't something she could explain. It didn't have a date. Or a moment. It was made of small things. A dog sitting beside her. A name carved in wood. A girl who stopped running. And every time Milo slowed near the curve in the path, she knew he was still doing what he had done from the start. Not forcing her forward. Not pulling her back. Just staying with her. Right where she was. The bench was no longer just a bench. It was a place. Not marked on any map. Not special to anyone else walking past. But to Lila. It felt like a quiet room inside the open world. The season shifted again. Mornings grew cooler. The air smelled sharper. Leaves gathered in soft piles near the path. One afternoon she brought a small ribbon from her desk drawer. Blue. Emma's favorite color. She tied it loosely around the metal leg of the bench. Not tight. Not permanent. Just enough to say this matters. Milo watched her hands. His head tilted. It's okay, she said. She would have liked it. The ribbon moved with the breeze. A small sign. Nothing loud. Nothing heavy. She sat down. Milo settled beside her. The carving felt smoother now. Not because the wood had changed. Because she touched it without fear. She didn't cry anymore when she read it. She smiled. For my brave girl. She whispered it once. Then again. It didn't feel like a message from someone gone. Felt like a promise still working. One day, a little boy passed with his dad. The boy pointed at Milo. Can I pet him? Lila nodded. Sure. Milo stood still. Tail low. Ears relaxed. The boy scratched his head. He's nice, the boy said. He always is, Lila replied. The boy ran ahead. The dad smiled and waved. And for a moment, the bench didn't feel like a memory. It felt like part of the living world. Lila began to bring things there. A book. Her homework. Sometimes just her thoughts. She didn't avoid the past anymore. She didn't live inside it either. She carried it. Lightly. One evening the sky turned pink and gold. The pond reflected it like a second sky below. She sat with Milo and watched. You know, she said. I used to think strong meant not crying. Milo's ears flicked. I think now it means sitting down when it hurts. Milo leaned against her leg. A quiet agreement. The park felt like a church without walls. Not holy. Peaceful. A place where nothing rushed her. Where nothing asked her to be different. Just present. She thought about Emma often now. Not with pain. With warmth. With stories. With the way her laugh used to sound when she teased. The bench didn't make her sad. It made her remember. And remembering felt like love. One day her mom joined her again. They didn't talk much. They didn't have to. Milo lay between them. The ribbon fluttered. Her mom reached out and touched the carving. Then squeezed Lila's hand. No words. None were needed. When the sun dipped low they stood. Milo rose first. As always. Ready? Lila asked. His tail moved once. They walked away from the bench. Not because they had to. Because they wanted to go home. As they reached the curve in the path, Lila looked back. The bench sat under the tree. Quiet. Waiting. Not lonely. Never lonely. She understood it now. Milo hadn't led her to danger. He had led her to meaning. To something she had left behind without knowing. A message carved in wood. A sister's voice without sound. A place where strength was allowed to be gentle. She reached down and scratched Milo's head. You did good, she said. He looked up at her. Then forward. Toward home. And the bench stayed where it was. Not a warning. Not a mystery. But a sacred pause in the middle of an ordinary walk. A place where a dog listened. And a girl finally heard.